I'm very concerned about the new Black Widow movie coming up. Let's talk about that. The more and more I see of the people that are involved in the next Black Widow movie, the more I become worried that it's not going to be good, and this is a problem for me. I mean, the original, core group in the MCU, um, past Iron Man and Captain America. I think my next favorite would be Black Widow. Just snarky, has a past, has trouble, has things that she's you know got in her past that she wants to get rid of. Torn between two worlds of the spy world and trying to be good to make up for that. Just we've seen throughout the films, saying I've got red in my ledger and I want to wipe it out. I owe people. That sense of maybe not of responsibility, but that knowledge of checks and balances and trying to have that balance, right? I mean, that's part of why that's what we identify, in our everyday lives. I screw up somewhere and it's like, oh, I need to go back and apologize and make something right with someone that maybe I made mad or made upset at me or did something wrong to them. I need to go back and make amends for this. This is something in normal life and makes her character very, very relatable in that way. Plus, she just basically kicks ass, right? I mean, that's boom. It's all right there. It's everything that we want. So, as I look through, all this garbage about what we're seeing is if let's go down here and jump to the full cast and crew here. We already see this Kate Shortland. I don't know. She hasn't really done anything, a couple of films, some writer credits. Okay. Nothing major, nothing really big. If we look over at Rotten Tomatoes, you can get, sort and list by your director or talent, or whatever it is. So her lowest rated, she's had a 50% one, but some of the ones that she has, 68. So that's okay. Maybe this one's okay. This Somersault one got 83 and 72. I haven't watched it, but then we got this one called The Silence, which is a 50% in audience, 38%. Lore seemed to do okay, but some of these are all, here's this one, Berlin's 53%. So just nothing big, nothing stands out as, oh, you can now take over a film that we want to expect to make, $200 million US. None of that sticks out to me as, okay, that's what you should be in charge of. And even worse is the other writer here who's done basically nothing. I mean, thanks. Let's see, two little directors of Two Little Things, 2009, 2011, produced a couple things, and now she's in full production control of WandaVision, which scares the crap out of me. She was the writer on Timer, which is a small thing, Mr. Stash, Olaf's Frozen Adventure. She had a part in that screenplay thing, The Hustle, and now Black Widow. So it's like, I wrote three things. I can go off and, whatever. So The Hustle is probably the biggest thing that she's been, big stars with, Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway. And how did that do? Oh, wait, didn't. Even the critics gave it a 14% and audience only gave it a 46%. So that's what she's coming off of, is this. And now we're in charge of writing for Black Widow. I don't see that. If I'm someone who's going to find real talent to write, and go into and do a Black Widow movie and do Black Widow complete justice and do it the right way, I don't get these people. These people are not who I choose. I'm not even looking at them. I'm not even thinking about them. It's like, go get, I don't really care if it's a female-led film. Go get whoever's best, male or female. I mean, Jon Favreau would have killed this if it would have been like Jon Favreau or something like that. So, and then this is, of course, the, comments by this Jack Schaefer. I don't know if it's Jack or Jacques or whatever kind of a name. Who knows what that is? She says she's ready to respond to the Captain Marvel trolls. I'm like, we're not trolls. We just expected more. And with all the I haven't seen the actual reports and things from theaters, but I can believe that when the film opened and the reports and things of the theaters being empty, having many seats empty, even though they were sold out, and people not coming back, not asking for refunds and things like that. That just sounds to me like some activist group went out and just said, okay, just go out and buy a bunch of seats at every theater in your area, just so that it looks like it's doing good, right? I mean, I can believe that, because the movie was, I went and saw it in the theater later, and the movie was bland and mediocre at best. You cannot have superhero films. You cannot have a superhero who has zero weaknesses. It does not work. It will never work. It will be the most boring thing in the world. Oh, something comes along. Well, that was stupid and boring, it doesn't work. And that's what Captain Marvel was. It was stupid and boring. And it was all about identity politics and how white men are bad. And being a white man, who I know I'm not bad, just doesn't talk to me, doesn't even say anything to me. And I'm worried that that's exactly what this is going to end up being. So here she says, I wasn't a huge superhero movie fan before starting to work at Marvel. Then why did you go to work at Marvel? If you have no passion, if you have no drive, if you have no deep interest in what the company is doing, then why are you working there? You should go find something else. You go work at some women's magazine somewhere that's all about the women, if that's what you're doing. If that's what your drive is. Now she says, now that I'm doing it, there's just such an opportunity to make a big positive statement. Especially things like Captain Marvel and Black Widow. So now we're lumping in Captain Marvel with Black Widow. So now that means we're going to end up with the same crap. And it really, really pisses me off. Because I absolutely love Black Widow. I don't really care about Captain Marvel. Black Widow, we have so much time. And in Endgame, when it came to get the Soul Stone, I think in many ways that almost hit me harder than, Iron Man at the end. Just because she had been through so much. We heard of, hearing of the stories, hearing of all the things that have happened, her trying to make everything right and everything else. Just like, granted, I think of any character that we would have made it perfect to sacrifice at that moment, that her doing that was like putting the last line on her ledger as balance paid in full, right? That, and that super, hit me in that film. So here we go. Schaefer also addressed the internet trolls who slammed this year's Captain Marvel by director Anna Boden, who's just like the worst director I've ever seen. I watched some of her other films, and oh my gosh, I could barely even get through it. They were so horrible. But now she's down here, the fighting scenes. I would like to see, does have alternative hopes for Marvel movies. I would like to see alternatives to violence. Well, we're all going to sit down in a support group. We're going to get all the good guys and all the bad guys. We're going to have a support group, and let's work out our feelings. Yes, that's so exciting. Let's all work out our feelings now. oh, I know you want to take over the world, but let's talk about what, maybe you can just take over that little spot over there, okay? Maybe that'll help you. No. She's qualified that by saying alternatives to glamorizing guns and weaponry. You have to have some kind of weapons. In, Captain America has a shield. Iron Man has a suit that fires stuff. Falcon has his little things that go out and he can blow stuff up. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, you don't get comics and superhero movies and things like that. So, are action movies. Action movies typically mean we're blowing something up at this point. So, you don't get it. You're completely the wrong person for this audience. You have no idea what we want. The reason I love Captain Marvel is all about inner power. Oh, joy. And the destruction is not the expense of human life. Well, no one wants that, but it's a movie, and if we wouldn't have had, like Endgame had, we knew at that point there were going to be consequences, and that's what helps sell it, right? I mean, if all the movies at the end, everybody lives, well, then there's no consequences, there's no danger, there's no nothing, so why do we need a superhero? We don't. If it's all blah, 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 it's all mamby-pamby, just little things going wrong, and nobody putting in actual danger, then you do not need a superhero. I guess you don't get that. So anyway, I get frustrated at the direction that all this is going, and since this is the next Marvel film that's going to come out, I sincerely hope that in some way, somehow, Kevin Feige or somebody steps in and says, I need A, B, C, and D to happen in this film. And if you have to use guns and you have to explode things, then let's do that. So that's my hope. And I don't know, it's getting... I'm thinking, I think Endgame, right? I'm thinking maybe Endgame was actually the end of the game at this point. I think it's all going to be wokenomics. Again, it's going to be, the Whammon CU instead of the MCU. And I'm not down with it. And I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. Just like with Star Wars, I'm hopeful. Even though, The Mandalorian, it might actually be something that we can actually watch and take with us. But as far as Black Widow, I'm upset. I'm distraught. I want it to be so good, but the people that are behind it are not the people that that everyone needed to be behind it. All right. Well, thanks for watching this and listening to me rant and everything else about this. But comment if you agree with me. If you have other comments and don't agree with me and think it's going to be great, then comment and we'll talk about it. Maybe you can change my mind. Maybe you can give me some hope. That that's what I'm needing right now is some hope that something of this is going to come out and be good. All right. Well, thanks for watching this one. Take care.